Welcome to HurricaneCenterLive.com. I'm Alex Garcia, Director of the National Tropical Weather Conference and Executive Producer of these programs. These programs are made possible by USAA, the South Padre Island Convention and Tourist Bureau, and Plylux Hurricane Clips. These programs are also a team effort with Bill Reed, the former Director of the National Hurricane Center, and Tim Smith, Chief Meteorologist of KRGV-TV. And now, here's Tim Smith.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to NTWC Live. It's so good to see you all back. It's been a couple of months that we've given you a vacation from us, but now you get to see our smiling faces once again, and we'll for the next half hour, as long as we decide to carry on here. We're getting excited about the National Tropical Weather Conference, which is coming up virtually on South Padre Island. We will be there, but you will be joining us virtually, we hope, on April the 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we've got a lot going on. So let me bring everybody else into the mix here. Bill Reed is here, former Director of the National Hurricane Center. Bill, welcome back. Hope you've had a great vacation. It's been a couple of months.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a thrill ride with our taste of winter, and but that's turned around. Things are turning green again, and we've got 82 days till June 1st.
The countdown has begun. Well, we're not going to start with a tropical update today. We're going to skip that this time around, so not much to talk about. Good morning, Alex. Alex Garcia, Conference Director, joining us from headquarters in San Antonio. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. How's it going, guys? Haven't done this in a while, so I'm pushing buttons.
A lot of buttons to push, but,
yes.
But good to have you on the program this morning, Alex. We've got a lot coming up in about a month or so on South Padre Island. We're going to be there. The three of us are going to be there. Everybody else, for the most part, is going to join us virtually. But it's going to be, I think, over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the program. I think it's going to be really cool.
Oh, yeah. We've got everything kind of set to set it up so that we can kind of make the sessions work with everybody's schedule. And that's the important thing.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of you that watch these programs are broadcast meteorologists, so we've kind of built around the newscasts that you might be a part of. There's nothing going on at noon. There's nothing going on at 5 or 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But there are things going on between, including socials. You know, we haven't forgotten about the we haven't forgotten about the happy hours. We're doing those as well, so you get a chance to visit with other people besides just listen to what everybody has to say. We've got some great speakers this year. I think the speakers are top notch.
Oh, absolutely. We've got some really good ones coming in. We've got a lot of good topics going on. Tim Heller's going to be joining us talking about AR, how you can use that to cover hurricanes. We've got a lot of other good folks coming in. Jeff Linder, Jeff Evans, Barry Goldsmith, and I think Barry has just joined us here. Let me see if I can bring Barry in real quick. And we can, there is Barry. And Barry's going to be telling us about Hurricane Hannah and his experience there. Barry, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about?
Putting me on the spot, I see. Okay, so we'll review. You know, Hannah happened to be our storm here in the Rio Grande Valley, and so in past years we've kind of opened the conference with something unique to our area and what we're doing, or within the Texas coast. And so we'll be discussing how we found a summer flood event in June or July, and boy, we hope 2021 isn't a fourth year in a row, but people are kind of getting used to these. 1 in 50 office had to evacuate the office. We don't like to use the word abandoned, but that's what they did. A Category 4 bearing down on a location that's only about 10 miles, 15 miles inland, kind of like we are here in Brownsville. And they weren't going to take any chances, as you've seen with the results of what happened with the radar and the satellite dishes and the building itself, as well as the power grid in the area. They were out for about 5 to 6 weeks, and many of their staff were scattered around everywhere from the Houston area over to New Orleans area. And so we picked up the ball in the last mile, the last 12 hours before landfall at our office. And then we went from there to provide service backup for another 6 weeks approximately, with help from other offices. So we're going to get into all those details too in that discussion, which I believe you've got us on for a Wednesday afternoon for that one. So Laura and Hannah were big deals, and we're going to just cover pieces of them. But the operational aspect, which was unique, we practiced for these backup situations, but never for 6 weeks like that. And We'll go over lessons learned and how it helped keep seamless messaging to our communities up there in Southwest Louisiana.
Great info, Barry. That's going to be, I think it's going to be fascinating. Of course, I vested interest in what you have to say about Hannah, because we're in the same market, so that was affected all of us. But I think the lessons learned apply to so many different places and so many different areas. So we've got, in addition to Barry, and great information, Barry, we appreciate that. In addition, we've got, of course, the forecast for the hurricane season from Dr. Phil Klotzbach. Phil is going to do his seasonal forecast once again. He's going to talk about what he expects this season to be. We all have ideas of what we think this season might be like. Phil's going to kind of put it all together in numbers, and you guys are welcome to give your thoughts on that ahead of time. But I don't think it's going to be a quiet season.
No, I mean, what do you think about that crazy season there, Bill? We had one right after another, and each one of them kept intensifying as they were getting in, coming on the land.
Yeah, but a lot of that's just the amazing combination of a very warm Gulf and Western Caribbean leading into the season, and intensifying La Nina that just left us in a lot of opportunities for storms to develop in a weak shear environment, and with a lot of moisture and heat going for them. I think the most amazing thing to me is after the 2005 season, where we also went into the Greek alphabet, I was telling people, you got to remember this. You're not going to see these kind of things more than once in your career. Really sink this in your mind, and have just 15 years later another bang-up season like that. And I don't know. I'm trying to line up people that think about those things so we can get some other ideas from the hockey stick thing on the and a lot of controversy with the data and all that. But he's considered to be a very good scientist in his own right for tropical stuff too. And he's recently published a paper that suggests that what we've thought was rock solid, this Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation, where you have low seasons and high seasons, is a baked-in part of the natural cycle. Well, he's got some interesting studies now that suggest that's not true. And I'm very interested in what that means going forward with the length of the season.
No kidding. Go. Jeff, how are you doing this morning?
All right. How is everybody?
Doing pretty good.
Had some audio problems when I first joined there, but I got it worked out now. So
awesome.
Why
don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing for us over at the conference?
Well, I mean, I think, basically we talk about storm surge surveying, and there's a lot of nuances, a lot of complexities involved in that. I think it's a pretty simple question to ask how high was the surge, but to go out and actually try to find out how high that surge actually was is a very difficult challenge. And it takes, quite a bit of patience and, some technical skill, as well as the ability to understand kind of what it is you're seeing in the debris and the lines. Another nuance now that's kind of an added challenge for the surge surveys is trying to come up with an above ground level estimate. There's a lot of nuances with that as well. It's important to do that now because social science has shown us that for the general public, all these datums are very confusing. So if we can narrow the message down to above ground level, we can get people to comprehend it better. But that's a tough thing. You have houses that are built up on mounds or stilts. We went out for Hurricane Laura. A lot of those homes had been inundated with Ike and with Rita. And so they had built their houses up above the surrounding countryside, sometimes 8 feet. Well, what is above ground level to that house? How do you tackle above ground level if it's on stilts and things of that nature? So we're going to get into a lot of that. Those are the challenges that we face there, particularly with Laura. If you remember right after Laura, the message for about a week was that the surge was way overdone because basically Lake Charles didn't get it, and we hadn't been able to get down towards the beach side or the coast side of Cameron Parish to verify that surge forecast that catastrophic surge forecast actually did verify, but it was about, it was a week to 10 days before you could really get that solidified. So we're going to get into a lot of that, some of those nuances as well. So Jeff Lidner, Harris County Flood Control District meteorologist, they have quite a bit of expertise with flood markings, and they actually brought a GPS unit with them in the field. So we were able to pair up with them, and we were able to successfully survey 4 storms with both NAVD 88 and AGL marks, our readings at each one of our marks. So I'm going to get into a lot of those nuances.
Just for those who are tuning in today that are regular viewers of our weekly program, what we're talking about today with Barry and Jeff and Bill and Alex and I is the actual National Tropical Weather Conference, the one that typically we do in person on South Padre Island. This year it's going to be virtual. It'll be similar to what we're seeing here, except a few of us will be in South Padre Island, but more important. So for those 3 days, April 7th, 8th, and 9th, you'll need to be registered, and then you can join in. We'll give you links and tell you how you can get into it, but you will need to sign in for that. And you can do that on, again, hurricanecenterlive.com.
Yeah. Let me share screen. We'll bring up that website here. And there you can see it. Let me see if we can take that out. We'll bring this back up. There's the full website, as you can see.
And Alex, you see on the front page, Ginger Z, I just finished communicating with her right before we started today, and she's really excited about being part of this. She was supposed to be on site last year. Of course, when we canceled, she had to cancel as well, but she's going to be presenting this year, talking about her experience covering the hurricanes from the network perspective. Alex, as you mentioned, she saw a house go rolling down the road in Michael, and she wants to talk about that a little bit. So she's going to have a good presentation.
Perfect. Let me unshare that real quick.
So yeah, go to that website, hurricanecenterlive.com, and everything is there, but registration is the key tab there. Go to that and sign up at the level, and it's about as affordable as any conference you've ever seen, I think. That's the important part, that you can do this at a very reasonable price and be part of it.
Absolutely, and there's three levels you can get into that to do that with. We've got the professional level, and we've got the VIP level, and of course we've got the student level as well. And with the VIP level, that's for the broadcast mats. You guys can get a lot of extras with that, all kinds of B-roll, and of course the interviews with the presenters will set up with that. And what's really neat is that once you're on the website and you select that VIP area, then that means you can easily go on over to one of the presenter pictures, and if that is who you want to interview, then you simply click on that picture and it will take you to a form to sign up for an interview with that, and we'll schedule that and we'll set that. And again, that'll all be done through Zoom, and we'll record it here and send you the file, and you'll have that to use in your hurricane special if you want to do that.
And we're trying to replicate the format of the actual conference as much as we can. As we mentioned at the beginning, we're building around the broadcast shows. There's no meetings at noon. There's no meetings at 5 or 6 p.m. because that's when broadcasters are busy. And then we have an evening, basically a social, so you can get in and talk to everybody, which you don't normally get to do. So that's going to be kind of cool. And I know, Bill, that's your favorite place where you get to.
One question that somebody asked me, they got something else going on that week. If they register, they'll be able to access it via recording. Is that correct?
That is correct. We will have recordings, and we'll send the links to all those who registered for that. And again, to have access to that, I believe it's the top 2 levels, the VIP and the professional level, to be able to do that.
Not governors open things up as of today in Texas, and that doesn't mean we're going to have 100 people there, but there'll be 3 or 4 of us there, all who are fully vaccinated, and be able to present from there. So I think, and Jeff, you may be joining us down there. We appreciate that if you're with us. And so it'll be an interesting format, but you'll be able to visit with everybody, and that's important. And Barry, I know you enjoy the opportunity to sit and just talk with people, and that's something that this conference offers, and we'll be doing that virtually.
Yes. So it's going to be an interesting time. We've got, again, a lot of really good speakers, and as Bill said, we're trying to get Michael Mann. I haven't heard back from him yet, but he's trying to set up his schedule. That will be an interesting one. Of course, we'll have Ken Graham and Jamie Rome and Mike Brennan. Both Ken and Jamie are going to have their own presentations, but then we're going to have a really interesting panel with both Ken and Jamie and Mike Brennan all together, talking about hurricane messaging and talking about some other incredible topics that we've got coming up here for that. And then that's not all. We've got Greg Carbon coming in from the Weather Prediction Center. Greg's going to have a really great presentation as well. And that's all coming up on day one. Day two is going to be the good one as well. That we're going to launch that with Dr. Klotzbach. He's going to have that latest 2021 hurricane seasonal forecast. I talked with him earlier this morning. He's all in. He said he's ready to go. He's working on it. Today he couldn't join us. He had another conference call at 10 a.m. So again, he's ready. He will be there as well. We've got Leslie Chapman Henderson out from Flash. She's got a brand new program she's going to be announcing. I'm not going to say what it is, but you're going to want to see that if you're a broadcast Met. Absolutely want to see that and bring that in. And of course, Ginger Z from ABC News, the chief Met there, she's coming in as well. And wow, things that she's got to talk about, particularly with Hurricane Michael, are really interesting. Then again, Rob Perillo, Louisiana. Louisiana seems to have been the really crazy place, like every in the Houston area with all of that going in to Louisiana. What was that like for your office out there?
Oh, it was a crazy year for sure. I mean, Laura was obviously the big one, and Houston being on the western edge of that cone put a lot of pressure on a lot of people around here, a lot of decision makers, and the Euro. There were several models that kept bringing it west into Houston, so we were still under the gun for quite a while there. So it was a busy year, starting with Hannah, going down towards Barry's neck of the woods, but we were on the edge of that and going all the way through the season. So I think we set a record for number of tropical cyclones we were providing briefings for throughout that season.
No doubt. I bet it was pretty wild as it was all going down. And so hopefully this next season will not be quite as wild, to say the least.
Well, I was going to say another big aspect with Laura was, we're looking back at a comparison with Rita. And both of them were very similar in their tracks, but the response level in Houston was completely different. Bill was around for Rita, so the disaster of that evacuation for the Houston area, which ended up being quote unquote unnecessary in everybody's eyes. But we were able to avoid that with Laura. And so it's interesting to look back at the differences in what we have now as a science and in our modeling and our messaging, that we were able to avoid a repeat of a Rita with a very, very similar storm.
Very good.
The timing of when you have to make an evacuation decision and the strength of the storm at that time are such key things. Rita was showing its hand at its strongest point just west of the Florida Keys. So people were staring at a Category 5 hurricane when the decision had to be made, whereas Laura hadn't quite intensified yet. And that gave people probably an unwarranted sense that they had more time to prepare for it than they did.
So many of the storms have gone through the rapid intensification prior to the coast. Barry, Hannah did the same thing, not to the extent. The impact wasn't as significant, but Barry, we saw that here as well.
Yeah, Hannah was really interesting. Just looking at the oceanic heat content, latent heat production, I've told people here, if we had another 12 hours or even 6 to 8 hours over water, that could have become a Category 3. It was really ramping up. And of course, the landfall point was over the King Ranch, which is basically unpopulated. But a little farther south, there were a lot more interesting results here in the Rio Grande Valley. And as it were, it did move to the west-southwest. And there aren't that many storms in history intensifying fairly rapidly that have done that. And the one comparison would be Labor Day 1933, which did become a Category 3 and cut right across the populated area at the time. So in a sense, we got lucky. But one of the things that we looked at the end was we did have quite a few power outages that were fairly extensive that we really didn't have in there, thinking the wind wasn't going to be as big a deal as the rain. And in the end, it was, depending on your vulnerability footprint, the wind was pretty bad for Hannah as well. So those are just two aspects to look at. And the other aspect to look at is kind of relating the power outages that we had with Hannah. We had power outages in the winter storm. How does that all kind of tie together? And then finally, one thing we will touch on, probably with both Hannah and Laura, is the numbers of unfortunate fatalities and casualties in the aftermath with incorrect use of generators. We had 5 here in the Rio Grande Valley. I want to say there was more than a dozen, less than 2 dozen around the Lake Charles area, and also Southeast Texas, the Beaumont, Port Arthur area. Messaging was really good then for recovery. We'll discuss that for the Lara situation, but yet we still have more work to do to discuss, late response and recovery phase to keep people safe. We unfortunately had many more fatalities after those events than we did during and before.
Gonna be interesting stuff. And we, of course, also want to thank our sponsors who make this possible, guys. USAA, Plylocks, and South Padre Island Convention and Visitors Bureau. Those are the organizations that have been part of this in one form or another for a long time. Just like Barry. Barry, you've been here from the first one, haven't you? Haven't you been to all the National Tropical Weather Conferences?
Yeah, I want to say I have all the T-shirts, but I'll have to double check this, or all the polos. I'll have to double check and see. I'm always curious to see what color scheme you're using this year.
That'll be a surprise. That'll be a surprise. So I'm looking forward to the conversation with Greg Carbon, and guys jump in on this about tropical rainfall. As it, you look at storms like Harvey and the storms that go incredibly slow and produce so much rainfall, becoming more the norm. I mean, I think his presentation should be really interesting.
Yeah, we've had 5 years in a row now with at least one event of 30 inches or more of rain. And but my less than scientific approach, looking back through the data, that's more in the past has been more a couple of decades between that heavier rain event from a landfalling tropical cyclone. So it'd be interesting to see if there's anything new on the horizon coming from the rainfall folks.
Well, and we talked about it, and Jeff, you've seen it, in Houston in particular. I mean, how many significant rainfall events have you had? 5 in the last 5 years, and as you're talking about, Bill, I mean, Houston has really borne the brunt of that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, historically, you look at Southeast Texas, and that's just part of our tropical history going way back. So it's certainly you have your Claudettes and you have your Allisons, and you've got storms even farther back in the record there. But these recent trends, having Harvey in 17, and then turn around 2 years later with Imelda, both 40 plus inch type of rainfalls. Yeah, it's something else, and it's certainly an additional challenge because especially like a storm like Imelda, Harvey was so large, we kind of figured pretty much everybody was going to get whacked. But trying to pinpoint some of these tropical bullseyes for rainfall, several days out, which is what really the decision makers and the public really want, and in some ways deserve. But the science it's really tough to pinpoint out who's going to get that maximum bullseye. And there's a big difference. You look at Imelda, had that fallen just 20 miles farther west, you get inside the metro Houston area with another 40-inch rainfall. It's a much larger impact.
And that can be the case with pretty much any storm anywhere. And I think that's going to be interesting to hear how Greg addresses that and talks about that. So good stuff. Good stuff. Alex, talk a little bit about the logistics of this because we're doing this virtually, but people still need to register. If they registered and paid last year, they're good to go. Et cetera?
Yes, we've had a lot of folks last year who registered for the conference. Of course, we had to pivot and turn around and make it a live show. So what we've done is that if you registered last year and you didn't request a refund, then we're going ahead and extending it into this year and giving you a VIP status of this year, and we're going to extend it into next year as well. So you're registered not only for this year but for next year. What the levels are, but there's 3 levels. You got to register for this. This particular live event is going to be like our conference, but again, it is not going to be open on Facebook or anything like that. We're going to have it behind a password site because we're doing this a little bit different. And it's not to say that we're not going to do NTWC Live. We are. The very following week, we're coming right back up again, and we'll be doing these every Wednesday all the way across into the hurricane season as well. So, but this one's a little different. So you do have to register for it, select your level. If you're a broadcast Met, then you can go and select on the presenters that you'd want to interview, and we can set that up for you and get you an interview for you. Plus, as a VIP member, you get a lot of interesting things. You get a really neat little swag box. You're going to get some B-roll. You're going to get some unique content. Plus, you get the ability to get those interviews done, and I think that's important, Tim. We all have these hurricane specials that we have to do, and we really do need material to put in those.
Right, because we've got the experts that are going to be here with us for 3 days, and it's your chance to interview any of them. And as you mentioned, just go to the website and click on the speaker's picture, and you can schedule your interview, and it'll be done, through the conference. You'll have it, and then you can use it for your hurricane special, which we all need to do. And it's a great chance to visit with the guys from the National Hurricane Center, because typically you could do that here, but since you can't do it in person, you can do it this way. And I know a lot of people line up to talk to Dr. Klotzbach after his presentation, and can't wait to hear what he has to say. I don't think it's going to be really what we want to hear. We want to hear a quiet season. I don't think we're going to hear that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Josh Morganman. There's always a line to talk to Josh. And there's all kinds of stuff with all of these speakers, with Barry, with Jeff, with with Greg, all of them that you can put into your hurricane special. So it's all available to you at the VIP level, and VIP level is pretty affordable. You compare that to any other conference. I think we're keeping it so you can come and you can learn. And that's the important thing, is that people get the information. You talk about the swag boxes on the floor back there.
Yes.
I'm building boxes and boxes of stuff accumulating so that we'll be shipping those out as we get late. So the boxes are starting to pile up back here. Some cool stuff.
Yeah, we always try to be unique with the conference. We try to be a little different and give you some really neat things, memorable things. We'd like for the conference to be an experience as opposed to, I'm going to another conference.
Right. And Bill, I don't think there's a way to do the putting green virtually in the hospitality suite. We'll try to figure something out for you.
I'll do sand shots out on the beach.
We can, there's plenty of that. We can make that work. Hey, I want to say good morning to some of the folks who've been watching this morning. Casper Gregory, we appreciate you. You were with us most of the sessions last season, and we appreciate that. And we look forward to having you on. And Mary Beth, good to see you again. Glad you're with us today. Sabrina, thanks for being part of it. Tim Marshall's with us this morning.
Hey, Tim.
So good to see you, Tim, and we look forward to having you back down here soon. Again, Sabrina's here. Who else is joining us? Kimberly. Marcel Ligabo, good to see you again. I think he won the award for farthest traveled.
Yes, he did.
Making the trip from Brazil, and it'll be a lot easier this time around. It'll be virtual. So good morning to everybody. We appreciate y'all being part of it. So anything else we want to talk about this morning?
Let me just see if I can share the website one more time so they can get up there and take a look at it. Again, it is hurricanecenterlive.com. And let me swing that across so that you can see that. There is the website, and of course we've got our schedule set up there, and you can see who's going to be speaking at what time. There may be a few little tweaks for that because, again, we're trying to get Michael Mann in here, and we may be able to do that. Here is the area where you can go and see who's speaking on what day. There's April 7th, April 8th, April 9th, and if you'll notice, some of the images have highlights around them, like Ken Graham. So if you click on that, it will take you to a form where you can set up an interview. But again, you can only do that if you're at the VIP level for registration. So let's go take a look at that. And there is the registration line. You've got your VIP level there. You got access to all the sessions and the recordings, access to the hurricane socials, the VIP room, your interview session, exclusive contact, and of course we got a swag box. And Tim showed you, he's the one putting them together. That's a very affordable $99. We're not here to do the big $500, $400 thing. We're here to make it affordable for you so that you could get in here and learn and get updated. To us, that's the most important thing. At the professional level, you get access to the sessions, you get access to the hurricane socials, and a swag box. If you just want to listen to the sessions, not worried about the recordings, it's there too. That's a student registration. You get access to all the socials and the sessions for $40. So again, that's where it is. And again, 3-day event, April 7th, 8th, and 9th. Right there, it's hurricanecenterlive.com. That is the website that we are using to get that going for you. All right, so let me swing this around so we can take a look at it. There you go.
I was going to say to click on the Who is Speaking tab one more time, but that's okay. I was going to comment we need to update the pictures because Bill's wearing a tie in that picture.
Yes, he is.
What's a tie anyway? And the hair is definitely grayer since that picture. That's a 9-year-old picture now. It's amazing.
Yeah, time for an update.
Speaking of getting a little older there, many of the listener viewers probably aren't aware of this, but a longtime deputy director at the Hurricane Center, Ed Rappaport, is retiring at, I believe, the end of May or beginning of May, one or the other. And I saw where he acknowledged he'd be more than happy to speak with us. So look forward to plan on that, because boy, here's a wealth of knowledge going out the door. He's been there since the late 80s, so almost every big storm that's happened in most of my career occurred under his watch, and he has a lot of knowledge.
Oh, absolutely.
Pick his brain before he heads out to the sunset.
Absolutely. We were just emailing the other day, and we've got him set up for one of our shows. I believe it's coming up on the third Wednesday in May, and he was telling us he's got some really interesting things to talk about. He sent me a picture of 4:30 in the morning with all the group there, kind of watching the old style monitors as Hurricane Andrew was coming ashore. Really interesting picture. He's going to share that. Also had a graphic of the very first hurricane they ever used on TV, which is Hurricane Hugo in 1989. So he's got a wealth of knowledge. It's going to be a really great program. And that one's on NTWC Live, so that'll be open to everyone.
Yeah, that's an important point. Our weekly show will be just like it was last year. Mm-hmm. Doing exactly what we did last year every Wednesday mornings. It's just the conference itself that if you want to be part of that, you need to register for it. And again, there'll be a handful of us on South Padre Island. The Bill, Alex, and I will be there. Jeff, I think you're hoping to join us, and Barry, hope you can come out as well. Mm-hmm. The requirement is double vaccination, and do everything by CDC guidelines. We're going to keep the we're going to follow the guidelines.
Absolutely. All right, so there you have it, full preview of the 2021 live event. That's National Tropical Weather Conference coming up April 7th, 8th, and 9th. So we hope to see you online, and then after that, we hope to see you on NTWC Live every Wednesday at 10.
All right, take care. You guys have a great day.
Take care, everyone.